Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrac and Kelly Kole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. This is episode 103, and our topic today is should you renovate or move? So we've been swamped with an incredible amount of work this year designing for both remodels and new construction. With our country being forced to spend more time at home, we all know that many homeowners now place a high value on making their homes more beautiful and functional. So before we get started, we want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by ProSource Wholesale in Marietta, Georgia. They're locally owned and operated with the support of being a national wholesaler. They specialize in sourcing finishing materials for your residential or commercial projects, flooring like CPT, LVP, tile, wood, kitchen, cabinets, plumbing, cabinet, and door hardware, basically everything you could think of. Becoming a member of ProSource gives you access to the showroom featuring over 20,000 samples of the important go-to materials, as well as new designs and collections, as well as pricing below wholesale. ProSource just celebrated their 20th anniversary. Their half-yearly manufacturer sale is in April, where nearly everything is 5 to 10% off the wholesale price.
So thank you, ProSource Marietta. We know you guys are listening, and we love everything you do for us. So let's talk about today. We are talking about renovating versus selling and moving, which I know a lot of our listeners are thinking about right now. So let's talk about how you will incur costs no matter which path you take. For some homeowners, moving is cheaper. For others, it makes more financial sense to renovate what you already have. So we're going to dive into the cost of selling first.
Okay. So often sellers are focused on the profit that they're going to make when they sell and sometimes overlook the expenses relating to selling. In this market right now, houses are selling way over the asking price and all that. So it seems very attractive to want to do that. But let's just talk about some of the costs. So closing costs, that can include up to 6% in commissions to your agent and your buyer's agent. And then the 2 to 4% in transfer taxes, property taxes, all those little fees, attorney fees, real estate fees, title insurance, HOA transfers, escrow fees, that kind of all goes on and on. So you might want to think about that too.
Those really add up. I mean, and those closing costs, I think some people think, oh, well, I'll negotiate that or I'll get that covered by the seller or the buyer or whatever.
Yeah. But some of those can't be negotiated.
A lot of them can't be negotiated. So yeah, they're hefty. So let's talk about a sample of some home selling costs. Okay. So probably you're going to have to make some home improvements or preparations to get your home ready to sell, unless you've just maintained it beautifully all these years, which most people haven't. So there's a good chance you're going to have to do some painting. You're going to have to do cleaning. You may have to stage it, or just all that comes with decluttering your house so that it shows well and photographs well.
Landscaping, kind of clean that up. But then there's those other ones, like where you sit here and think, all right, our roof, like this, when someone comes to look at this home to buy it, they're going to go, wow, that roof is old. Flat, knock that off the price. Furnaces are old. Windows sometimes need to be replaced. So think about those things that you'd have to do just to get it ready to sell.
And then also temporary housing. I think right now, because houses, and in Georgia, this is happening, but I've talked to my friends in New York and in Ohio and all over the country where it's a seller's market. Homes are selling for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over market. And so it's a quick thing. So you very well might have some temporary housing where you haven't closed in time to move into the new house, what have you. So,
or you may have sold your house way faster than you thought you would. And so then maybe you're going to have to put your stuff in storage. Yes, all of those things.
I think that's happening more than anything right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then moving costs. I mean, movers, all of that. So just keep, like when you're going through this in your mind, these are some things that you just might not think about. Okay. And then the cost of renovating. Now we have a lot more experience with this lately because a lot of people, as we know, are looking at their homes and saying, okay, that's it. We need to start doing this. So, and we had a client that was on with us that talked about they loved their neighborhood and they loved their schools, but the house, they just wanted things that they couldn't get. So do you stay where you are and renovate your existing house? Do you have to ask yourself some questions. Do you love the neighborhood? Are you happy with the schools? Like things like that.
Well, and it's funny because during the recession back in 2008, 2009, 2010, kind of that time period, so many of our clients decided to renovate because, remember, there was no construction, at least here in Atlanta. Everything had stopped. And so even if they wanted to sell, there wasn't much to buy. So we were doing a lot of kitchen and bath renovations. Yep. Now it's kind of flipped where after a year in COVID, everybody's looking around going, do I love my house? Do I not? So we're doing a mix of new construction because now building is cray-cray. Yeah. And we're doing a lot of renovations. So the first thing to kind of think about is, how do you feel about your neighborhood? I mean, take a good look at it. Do you love your neighbors? Are you happy with the schools? Do you have a brand new Whole Foods or Trader Joe's right nearby?
Location is huge.
Location is everything, right? So really, really take that into consideration.
Yeah. And then does the house have good bones? I mean, is it an older home? What might be beneath the foundation? Like there may be unforeseen surprises when you open up walls, and we know that firsthand.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna renovate, for sure. And does renovating make economic sense for you? So think about, sure, you're going to lose all that money for a move, but maybe your renovation costs are much greater than those move costs. So think about that. But you're going to think about, if you are going to renovate, what kind of budget will I have?
And this is something I think people really need to try to nail down, because I don't think most people really know what's involved. And there's all those extra things, the dumpster fee, like there's a lot of different things that go along with that. So make sure that, your wish list could be very long. And then once you start to put numbers to it, you're like, oh God, no, we don't want to mess with that. Along with, the other things to consider. Do we refinance? Do we want to do a home equity loan? Do we want to use an architect or a designer? Yes. And then the other thing, too, is understanding the risks of over-improving. If you decide to go ahead and put in a $200,000 kitchen, you may not get that money back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And temporary living quarters while the house is under construction, think about that. Especially if you have pets that are going to be really unnerved by all the banging, or kids in school trying to study at home with virtual learning, etc. That's something to think about. And also those realtor fees, will come around again. So, but we don't want to scare you, because these are just things to think about and be smart about. We had a client in here yesterday that we'll talk about in a little bit. She's doing a massive renovation on her home, and they decided, because their stock market portfolio is doing well and interest rates are so low, that it made more sense to leave their cash where it was and to take a home equity loan out on their house that they've been in their house for, I don't know, at least 15 years. Mm-hmm. And because interest rates were so low, that made much more sense. Yeah. So,
and we had done some renovations for them prior. They have a pool put in. They did a beautiful outdoor area. And so when they wanted to kind of renovate the inside and thought about possibly moving, it's like they already love what they have. We just want to tweak a few things on this main floor. It made more sense for them to renovate.
Well, and we talk to y'all nationally and internationally, so it's different in your states and in your countries. But for example, here in Atlanta, Mike and I downsized 5 years ago. We moved to a much smaller house after the kids went off to college. But our house actually cost $200,000 more than the house we were living in. So we didn't downsize in price.
Exactly. Yeah.
We downsized in function and all that, and got the neighborhood that we wanted to be in. So, and I think that's what's happening to a lot of people here in Atlanta. They're like, yeah, you know what? This house is too big. This is kind of your situation. Yep. Mm-hmm. My house is too big. Kids are gone. I want to be kind of more urban, maybe cooler, maybe. And then you go looking, and you're like, oh my God, those are $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 more than the house I live in.
Yeah. And then like in my case, I have actually three extra bedrooms. I have a downstairs area that we never really go down to, but I do love it. I want my kids to come home for the holidays. I want them to, we're not the type that people go stay in hotels when they visit. They stay at our house. So I want them all to stay at my house. I want the grandkids to be there. I still want the yard. So that's why I've decided to stay in my house. But yeah, it's not ideal. I broke my foot and I'm going up the steps on my bottom to get upstairs and downstairs. So it's not ideal, but that's,
but it's a good decision for you guys
choices
right now.
that you have to make. Yeah.
Yeah. We are, like we said, doing a lot of renovations and remodels. When you're thinking about remodeling, think about a lot of things because the world is your oyster. So think about, can I take the dislikes of my house and can I make them go away with a remodel? Do I have the energy to make these countless decisions, or do I need to hire help like Joanne and I?
And you have to, it's like Stacy, our friend at ProSource, was saying that a remodel is almost like giving birth to a baby. Like in the beginning, you're all very excited, and then you're kind of going through the part where the remodeling is happening, and then you get towards the end, and you're like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over, and then the baby is born, and the space is done. It was like all worth it.
Yes.
So,
but in the middle, you may have had some hesitation.
Yeah. But it is very exciting. We're working with this client right now on redoing, and we were sitting down and going over some stuff, and you could just see how excited she was. Like you can visualize this place. It's the same house, but it's going to function and look so different.
And the things that we have gone through with them are a lot of things. First of all, their kitchen, the functionality of their kitchen. Like I said, they've been in this house for at least 15 years, maybe even more. And so as she said yesterday, she's just her kitchen is set up for what it was, was builder, she moved into it. But now she's rethinking well, I want a coffee station, and underneath my coffee station, I want a refrigerated drawer like we talked about after the K-Biz podcast, and I want to be able to pull out my creamers and everything right there.
That makes so much sense. When I turn my coffee, I have to walk all the way across to my refrigerator to get my cream. Now it makes so much sense. You just open the drawer and the cream is right there.
She and her husband like to be in the kitchen a lot together, so they're going to do a big kind of a long trough galley sink with two faucets on this big island so that they can be side by side. They have they're creating this huge pantry where she's going to hide all of her big appliances. She's going to put a warming drawer in there. She's going to put extra dishes, and she's really thinking, how do I function in this kitchen? And I'm going to make it exactly like I want it.
And if they were to go look at new construction to do all this, it's just really doing the same thing. Now she can do whatever she wants. You're not going to find a house that has that.
Right.
She's tailoring it to her needs. I think that's so awesome.
The other thing that she's doing that is so cool is they had a front living room, like so many people have, that you never step foot in ever, and they kind of extended their laundry room and so they have this massive laundry room and mudroom. It's 2 rooms, but she has 2 Labrador retrievers, so it's a place for them to be behind a gate if she wants. It's gonna be beautiful. We're putting in these really fun floors,
cubbies, and like a closet to hold all of the mops and the different things, all behind.
All the dog food in a pull-out drawer. She's gonna have a dog bed that's kind of built into one of the cabinets, so it's not sitting. You're not tripping over it on the floor.
Yeah. And what's so great is that when you come in from the garage, you go right to the spot. So it's kind of like the dumping ground. It doesn't end up being your kitchen, like things on the counters. It's all set up very.
It's just so efficient. Yeah. The functionality of it, we were sitting there saying yesterday, isn't thinking about functionality so exciting because it's like everything has a place. Everything is pretty.
Life-changing stuff.
It is life-changing stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the costs that are involved with remodels.
Yeah. So I think this is a very good number to look at. So for a kitchen budget, you pretty much have to look at anywhere from 10 to 25% of your home's value. So if you have a $250,000 home, think about $37,000 to $50,000 for a kitchen. That's kind of like average. A $500,000 home, $75,000 to $100,000.
And we see that a lot.
We see that
these are the numbers that we see.
time.
Definitely.
Yeah, we see that all the time.
Yep.
So you have to kind of decide too, like, are you going to remodel for resale? Like when you're making the decisions, actually, a return on your money on a kitchen is huge. It's about 78%.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's even that low.
Yeah. And then there's some people who just remodel for their long-term stay and enjoyment. Like they're going to put whatever they want to put in there. That's just what they want to do. So if it's your forever home, the investment you're making is about the quality of life. Create a space that's just uniquely yours, kind of how our client is doing right now.
I think that is huge because I think, and we all can probably relate to that after COVID and seeing kind of what our homes became for us, whether it was peaceful or not, spiritual or not, functioning or not. And truly, your home is your respite. Your home is your sanctuary. And if it is your forever home, or I would say, if you're not planning to move for 10 years, then dive in because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And as fast as time goes, 10 years is still a long time. Yeah. And it's worth it. It's worth it to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
So bathroom remodels, we do a ton of these too. Same kind of situation, approximately 5 to 10% of your home's value. And I would say the return on your investment is as high as your kitchen. Maybe not quite as high, but it's still there. People, when they're looking at new homes, it's the first thing they're looking at. Oh my God, do I have to remodel a kitchen and bath? And when they don't, it's a big plus. So when you want to talk, let's talk money. Basic remodel, $4,500 to $15,000. Mid-range, you're up to $25,500, and deluxe is $30,000 and more. That's generally if you're doing kind of a master bathroom. And I would say for sure, our bathroom remodels that we do, the masters, are anywhere from 30 to 60.
Yeah. And I think people, that is, that they do want that to be kind of spa-like.
Of course.
And, putting in, like, do something to kind of, like, treat yourself, a steam shower. Like, most people don't think that they would ever do that, but it's one of those things where once you did it, you're like, I'm so happy. What are we working for?
I know.
You know what I mean? Why are we working so hard? Don't we need to reward ourselves a little bit?
Yes. And I think, think about the last time you went to a luxury hotel. And if you're not a luxury hotel person, maybe you should go try one so you can see what you're missing as an experience. But think about what it would be like. Well, what if I had a refrigerator or a coffee pot in my bathroom suite? What if I could reach for my coffee in the morning right there in my bathroom, or a glass of wine when I'm getting in the bathtub? Or, I think the steam shower is a huge one. Heated floors, we talk about that all the time. Not a budget breaker at all, but to have warm feet, especially if your master bath is over your garage and you have those cold feet in the morning.
Well, another one, which, don't laugh, but I'm telling you, a washlet.
I agree with you 1,000%.
So I got one when I had my shoulder surgery, or my husband had gotten it for me. And I will tell you, these are the great things about it. Number one, well, the seat's heated. So that right there.
There you go.
Even in the summer, I love that.
Yeah.
But let's just say you are laid up, you had surgery, and you can't really shower as much. There you go. That surely helps in that area.
Feel clean.
You feel clean. Older people who don't shower as much or whatever. And even for like kids, toddlers and stuff who really don't
wipe too well.
Yeah. So and it's just it's kind of a luxury thing.
It really is.
It's not necessarily like for old people. So I would highly recommend a Toto washlet.
And if you don't have,
you need the power there.
You do need the power there, but there are some where you don't need power. They're battery operated, or they're powered by water. They're not quite as fancy as the Toto washlet, but I think how Susie Faya talked at our K-Biz podcast about how she makes touchless faucets a standard in her renovations. I think washlets should be a standard in all renovations.
Yeah, I don't think most people think about that.
I don't even think people know what they are.
Yeah. Costco has them. I mean,
Yeah. So, other things to consider.
Well, I mean, it's do you have an emotional attachment to your home? I mean,
Yes.
if you grew up like, when we first moved to Atlanta, we moved into a neighborhood that had all young families. The kids rode their bikes in the cul-de-sac. Our kids grew up there. We did a lot of different things to update it. So there was definitely an emotional attachment to it. Are you ready to kind of let that go? And so
I think that's a big thing. When we moved after 17 years in the house that we raised our kids in, a couple of my friends asked me that, and Mike and I were like, no, we are absolutely unattached to this house. Now our kids were, but to me, that house, it functioned well and it was in a great neighborhood, but it never had kind of the charm or anything. There was no story behind it. It didn't talk to me.
Yeah.
Now, our lake house that we spent 2 years renovating, blood, sweat, and tears, and we were so in it, that house has enormous meaning to me. And if we ever sold it, I would boo-hoo like a baby. So,
I mean,
I think it's a big deal.
It's definitely something to think about. And like our other clients, their neighbors, like they become kind of your family, especially if if you've been transplanted here. We don't have a whole lot of family here. And so that becomes kind of your family. So, you may stay because there's those attachments, you would miss those. And then timing, it's all about timing. What are the age of your kids? Like if you have a 9th grader, they're not going to be too hip on moving to another, although when we moved in the same school district. So that's another thing to consider is the timing of what's going on in your life,
Very true. Very true. It was
Do you have
perfect for us.
an aging parent that you might need to take care of? Maybe that's why you move. Maybe you need extra space.
Yes.
So all of that.
And the added stress, are you the kind of person that can handle any of this? Maybe it's not a good time in your life, or maybe it is. Maybe it's a rebirth. Maybe it's, sometimes, especially after COVID, I think we all need an adrenaline shot. Yeah. And I know for me, Mike and I really loved moving. It was just a way when we moved to a new house and when we remodeled our lake house, it was just a time to kind of think, like, how do we live? What's important to us? We're not big house people. We would rather have a small house that's like done to the nines, but we wanted it to function really well for us. I wanted to use every inch of the house. I was tired of having this big basement that we didn't use, a front living room and a front dining room we never walked in, Yeah. So to have a house that we use, the whole thing, made the spending the money feel better.
Yeah. And even I am just right now turning a guest bedroom into like I don't really want to call it a gym.
It's not a gym.
Because it doesn't have a lot of equipment in there, but more like a wellness kind of space.
Yeah.
And so this was just an extra bedroom. There was no reason for that. I would walk past that room, these 2 rooms that have these beds, and I'm just like,
I got to clean that again. Yeah.
So I am totally getting rejuvenated because this become just like a place that I can go hang out. I have a massage table. I'm gonna have to find somebody to come to my house. Like I'm kind of excited. Like I'm able to use my house where it's not just a room just sitting there. So
you emptied it all out. You put LVT on the floors.
Yep.
Painted it.
Walls. I'm having it wallpapered today as we speak. Thank you, Tebow. I love their wallpaper, and I'm having some window treatments put in there. And then I just bought a big gym mat that is pink.
Nice.
So it's going to be very colorful.
Nice.
So it's going to be like my little happy space.
Kind of just some weights, yoga mats, stretching, meditation, massage.
Yep.
That's divine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's divine.
Very smart, Joanne. So, it's a great conversation and we could really talk about it for a long time. I think there's huge benefits in both moving and remodeling. But I think the biggest takeaway is take your time, hire professionals to help you get it done and do it right. So, go to your financial planner, go to your real estate agent, go to your bank, hire that good contractor, hire an architect, for God's sake, hire an interior designer, and that money will come back to you in spades.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we love about ProSource. I mean, we go there and we bang it all out. We can pick tile, plumbing, cabinetry, countertop. It's so great when you can make it efficient. And what people love to hire us for when making selections is we just lay it all out, hand it to them on a silver platter, give all of the information to the contractor. So, you know, if you're going to do it, try to make it easy on yourself, because it can be, and I'm sure everybody has a horror story, a nightmare story about a contractor or any of that. You just don't let that be you, because it's stressful enough. So you want that part to go well. You want good communication between all the people and the expectations and all that, because it's, you know.
And I think what we hear a lot from our clients before they hire us is, well, we were working with this salesperson at the design center for our new construction home, and we just started to glaze over halfway through, and we just asked her to make decisions, and I'm sitting here going, that is so unfortunate, because it's your home, it's your money, it's a lot of money, and you just glazed over, and of course you did.
They've looked at the fifth faucet. They're like tired,
and they don't even know.
They're like just tired, like just whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas we can take 110% energy all the way through and make great decisions to the very end and not glaze over. So I think that's a huge kudos to us for what we do for our clients. So anyway, so things to think about, people.
Yep.
For 2021, for sure.
Yes. All right, quote time. I have to tell you guys this story.
Okay.
So we decided from day one that we were always going to do quotes at the end of our podcast. You know, we're big quote people. I love them. And we thought we'd do a funny one and a serious one. So sometimes I find them right away, or in between podcasts, I will, you know, be searching Instagram, and I'll find one, I'll screenshot it, and then I'll save it for when, you know, I'm writing the outline or whatever. So for this week, I was trying to find something that had to do, I sometimes try to tie it into the topic, but I couldn't really find anything about kitchens or anything. So looking for like a serious, maybe sort of not serious, but motivating.
Inspiring.
Yeah, motivating kind of quote. Couldn't really find anything. So I was doing some organizing this weekend, and I found this book, which I forgot I even had. And it's a book about, can't remember the name of it, but it was quotes from all different famous people.
Okay.
So I kind of open it, and they're kind of short. Irma Bombeck, you know, just all these different people. So when I sit down to write the outline, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go look in that book for a quote. I open it up. Okay, I'm getting the chills just even thinking about it. I open it up. The first quote that I read is from Danny Thomas. Now, for those of you who listen to us pretty regularly, know that we had Marlo Thomas on our podcast a couple weeks ago. And I'm thinking,
and he's her dad.
What are the chances that that's the first thing I would look at, that we just had her on 2 weeks ago? That particular book, which was sitting, you know, on a shelf that I didn't even look at for probably 2 or 3 years. Anyway, so this serious quote was meant to be. So here it is. Success has nothing to do with what you gain in life or accomplish for yourself. It's what you do for others. And that's Danny Thomas, you know, founder of St. Jude, which makes total sense.
And did you hear, okay, this is total sidebar, people, but I have to say kudos to St. Jude, because I didn't catch the whole thing, but there's a huge space NASA initiative to raise up to $200 million for St. Jude right now that just began. I thought, Marlo must be a really busy girl right now dealing with all that. So, I thought, how exciting for St. Jude's.
Yeah. So amazing that that's how he, you know, as successful as he was and whatever, that he wasn't worried about what he was accomplishing for himself, but for other people. And this legacy just lives on and on, which is so amazing. So thank you, Danny Thomas.
Yep. All right, here's your giggle to end the day with. If by crunches you mean the sound bacon makes when you eat it, then yes, I do crunches. I love that. Yes, I love bacon, and I do crunches. Yes, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, we hope we got your wheels churning on that one. We want to remind you that if you're enjoying listening to us, to please scroll down and rate and review us. We would love that. And share as well.
Yes. And if you didn't listen to our last podcast, we had Katerina Rothman from Beeflax Linen, who told us so much about linen and some great stuff. And we gave a discount code of 15% off if you use Kandrac Kole. And a few of you have already used that. So thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrac Kole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrac-kole.com for more information.